Mr. Incredible of superhero family The Incredibles has had enough of his daily life, and after an attempted adventure goes wrong, it's up to his family to rescue him. Today, we will recap the story of the 2004 movie The Incredibles. The movie takes place in an alternate universe that resembles the 1960s, where superheroes known as supers are celebrated and admired worldwide for their heroic actions. They live in a time of luxury and recognition, and one particular superhero named Mr. Incredible embodies this era. He is incredibly strong and engaged to the flexible and dexterous Elastigirl, and is best friends with the cryokinetic Frozone. Due to their extraordinary abilities and daring rescues, superheroes like Mr. Incredible have a massive fan following. However, Mr. Incredible faces a challenge when his self-proclaimed #1 fan, Buddy Pine, attempts to become his sidekick under the name Incrediboy. On his way to his wedding with Elastigirl, Mr. Incredible finds himself dealing with unexpected tasks, such as fighting crime and saving lives. This includes rescuing a man named Oliver Sansweet from falling off a building and stopping a train from derailing. Just when Mr. Incredible is about to enjoy a moment of peace, he learns of a bank robbery by the notorious Bomb Voyage. Despite successfully completing the robbery, Bomb Voyage is stopped by Mr. Incredible. Incrediboy, who is stubborn and wants to prove his worth to Mr. Incredible, interrupts their encounter with his homemade jet. Mr. Incredible is annoyed by the boy's presence and turns him over to the police, making sure he stays away from any life-threatening rescue activities. After Mr. Incredible's marriage, he is sued by the man he saved earlier for preventing his suicide attempt. Additionally, the victims of the train rescue are suing for the injuries they sustained, even though they would have been killed if it weren't for Mr. Incredible's intervention. These lawsuits cause people around the world to sue superheroes everywhere for the collateral damage and recklessness caused by their heroics. As a result, the government has to pay millions of dollars to settle the suits. After granting amnesty to superheroes for their past actions in exchange for a promise to never continue their heroics, the government allows them to lead normal lives. 15 years later, Mr. Incredible and Elastigirl have settled into a relatively normal life under their secret identities, Bob and Helen Parr, living in a suburban home and raising 3 children, 14-year-old Violet, 10-year-old Dash, and infant Jack. While Violet can turn invisible and create force fields, and Dash can run at incredible speeds, Jack seems like a regular baby without powers. Bob is overweight and frustrated with his job as a claims adjuster for the corrupt insurance company, InsurAcare. However, he secretly helps deserving clients find loopholes to get their payments and dreams of returning to his superhero days. Bob goes as far as to moonlight as a crime fighter by listening to a police scanner every Wednesday with his friend Lucius, who is now known as Frozone. To their wives, they pretend to go bowling. Although Lucius actually wants to go, they discover that another former superhero named Gazerbeam is having trouble adjusting to civilian life like Bob does, and is now missing. When they try to save people from a burning building, the heat becomes too much for Lucius to handle with his powers, and they accidentally run into a nearby jewelry store where the security guard assumes they are robbers. Lucius freezes them with the water from the nearby dispenser. When Helen finds out about Bob's nighttime escapades, it causes an argument. Bob hates having to hide their gifts and wants to return to their heroics of the old days, while Helen is concerned about keeping the family together and not having to start over again in a brand new location. Mr. Huff, Bob's stingy employer, eventually suspects that Bob is helping clients and reprimands him during a lecture. While Bob is in the midst of the lecture, he notices a person being mugged in the street. Mr. Huff stops Bob from going to the victim's aid and threatens to fire him if he does so. As a result, the mugger escapes, and Mr. Huff smugly begins lecturing again. Bob, furious with Bob's insensitivity, grabs him by the neck and hurls him through several office walls, hitting black cupboards in the process. Mr. Huff is hospitalized with broken bones and a sprained left arm and leg, while Bob is fired from his job. Normally, the government agent and Bob's old friend Rick Dicker would cover up such an incident by paying to keep the company quiet and relocating Bob's family to erase memories of the incident. However, since it is costing too much money for the government, Dicker tells Bob that he can no longer help him. However, he quickly relents and offers to bail him out one last time, an offer that Bob refuses since his family has adjusted their current life. Bob is now trying to figure out how to tell his wife Helen about his accident. Mirage, a mysterious agent, contacts Bob and offers him highly paid work of defeating a renegade robot. the Omnidroid 8, located on an uncharted volcanic island. Bob takes the assignment, telling his wife Helen that he is attending a conference out of the town. He hides both the loss of his job and the fact that he hides back to hero work. While on a jet to the island, Mirage briefs Bob, now Mr. Incredible again, about how his mission is going to go and how he needs to subdue the Omnidroid quickly before it figures out how to kill him. She also instructs him to find a way to neutralize the robot without completely destroying it beyond salvation. Mr. Incredible lands on the island and begins searching for the Omnidroid. After a fierce battle, Mr. Incredible defeats the Omnidroid and is rewarded handsomely. He begins to lead a much happier life with his family, but his supersuit has been slightly damaged from the battle. He takes it to the flamboyant designer Edna Mond for repairs. Edna offers to create a brand new suit for him and he accepts. Unbeknownst to him, she also creates matching suits for his entire family. 2 months later, Mirage calls Bob with a new assignment. Helen overhears the call but doesn't realize its full implications or content, and she begins to have suspicions. However, she nervously keeps it to herself. When Mr. Incredible returns to the island, he discovers that he has been set up as he is ambushed by an improved version of the Animatedmovie prototype robot. The robot's creator, X9, is revealed to be a now adult Buddy Pine who has become a psychotic and incredibly wealthy weapons designer named Syndrome. He is embittered by constant rejection from his former idol. After becoming a weapons designer, Syndrome invented the Omnidroid, a robot designed to kill supers. He uses his 0-point energy ray to immobilize Mr. Incredible and throws him around a few times. Accidentally, Syndrome throws Mr. Incredible over a waterfall. However, Mr. Incredible manages to escape and discover Geyser Beam's remains in an underground cavern. While inside the cave, he narrowly escapes a bomb and discovers the word Kronos etched onto the walls using Geyser Beam's laser vision. Mr. Incredible infiltrates Syndrome's base and manages to get beyond the wall of lava to his main computer. By typing in the password Kronos, he gains access to all of Syndrome's files. He learns that Syndrome has built many other robots to kill supers, and although it's presumed that nearly all of them are dead, Syndrome is planning on unleashing the robot into the city of Metroville, causing mass destruction. Syndrome calls this plan Project Kronos. Upon returning home, Helen notices that Bob's old superhero suit has been repaired. She visits Edna and learns that Bob has been secretly resuming his superhero work and that he's no longer employed. Edna reveals to Helen about the new supersuits for her and the children, and advises her to take control of the situation. Helen activates the homing device that Edna built into Bob's suit, but inadvertently reveals his location to both her and Syndrome, who recaptures him. Helen, along with Violet and Dash, stow away on a fast jet headed for the island, leaving Jack at home with a babysitter. Meanwhile, Syndrome tortures Mr. Incredible for information and launches a missile attack against Elastigirl, who is now wearing her new suit and becomes suspicious of something being wrong on the airplane. It shocks even Mirage when it is revealed that there are children aboard. Elastigirl and the kids manage to escape unharmed and swim to the island, while everyone on the island believes they're dead and is enraged at Syndrome for seemingly killing his family. Mr. Incredible resorts to grabbing Mirage and threatens to kill her in order to force Syndrome to release him. However, Syndrome calls his bluff, and Mr. Incredible ends up releasing her unharmed. Mirage, who remains Syndrome's prisoner, is furious at him for risking her life and for his belief that Mr. Incredible's value of life is a weakness. Despite calling his bluff, she leaves and tells Syndrome that if he gambles again, he should bet his own life. Meanwhile, Elastigirl infiltrates Syndrome's base while the new and improved Omnidroid V10 is loaded and launched on a rocket towards its target, Metroville. At Syndrome's base, a remorseful Mirage secretly frees Mr. Incredible just before Elastigirl arrives. The two superheroes then rush to find their children, who are fighting off Syndrome's henchmen. Dash races the guards through the jungle on foot and discovers that he can run in water, while Violet holds her ground against the guards with her invisibility. When the Incredibles family reunites, a battle ensues where they cooperate to defeat their attackers. However, Syndrome arrives and captures them using his 0-point energy beams. Upon capturing them, Syndrome is surprised to find out that Mr. Incredible married Elastigirl and had kids with her. Syndrome then explains his plan to them while they are in the containment unit. His plan is to save Metroville from the Omnidroid and thereby become a hero. Mr. Incredible figures out that for the past 15 years, Syndrome has been inviting other real heroes to Nominus and killing them so he could perfect the Omnidroid's final design. With the final design now in place, Syndrome plans to pretend to be a hero and bring the supers back into the spotlight. After that, he will sell all his gadgets and inventions to the world, making everyone super. At that point, the possession of superpowers will no longer be unique, and the whole idea of Project Kronos was to make the word super meaningless, which Mr. Incredible reveals. Upon arriving at the mainland, the Incredibles are faced with Syndrome's rocket, which is about to destroy Metroville. Syndrome tries to stop the Omnidroid, but it becomes self-aware and knocks him unconscious. With the help of Frozone, the Incredibles fight against the robot to save the city. Mr. Incredible realizes that the only way to defeat the Omnidroid is from the inside, just like last time. He gets hold of the remote control and uses it to activate one of the claws that had been shot earlier. The thrusters in the claw allow him to launch it at the robot like a missile, impacting and destroying it for good. The town celebrates the Incredibles' success in defeating the Omnidroid and saving Metroville. However, Syndrome still poses a threat, and the Incredibles must stop him from carrying out his plan to make everyone super and render the word meaningless. They return to Syndrome's base and manage to free themselves from his energy prison using Violet's force fields. With Mirage's help, they confront Syndrome and put an end to his scheme. The Incredibles become recognized as heroes once again, and the townspeople cheer for them. Dicker Syndrome mentioned the possibility of superheroes revealing themselves, but now he wakes up to find that the Incredibles have stolen his spotlight. Meanwhile, Rick Dicker drives the Incredibles home and informs them that the US government has frozen Syndrome's assets and issued a warrant for his arrest. Elastigirl checks her voicemail and discovers that a replacement babysitter has come over to their house. They rush back to find that Syndrome has kidnapped Jack, with the intention of grooming him to be his sidekick in revenge for his lost future. Syndrome attempts to escape to his jet using his rocket boots, but Jack suddenly reveals that he has superpowers, including the ability to shapeshift into fire, metal, and a monster-like form. Syndrome drops Jack, but Elastigirl catches him and he attempts to flee, vowing to try to abduct Jack again in the future. Bob has had enough of Syndrome's villainy and hurls the family car at his jet. Syndrome is knocked into the turbine and his cape gets caught, causing the engine to turn into a super smoothie. Violet, who has mastered her force field powers, shields the family from the flames and debris as the jet explodes, leaving their young neighbor in awe. 3 months later, the family is much happier. Even Bob is content with their civilian life. Dash participates in a track meet and finishes second, carefully controlling his use of super speed. Violet, who used to hide her face with her hair and feel alienated, is now confidently talking to a friend and successfully asks Tony Rettinger to watch a movie. As they leave the sports complex, a new villain named the Underminer emerges from underground and declares war on peace and happiness. The family members, including Jack, put on their masks and prepare to fight the new foe. And that's a wrap on our recap of the classic superhero movie. From the thrilling action scenes to the heartwarming family moments, this movie has everything you could ever want. But do you know what movie also has everything? Brave. This Disney Pixar masterpiece takes us on a journey to ancient Scotland, where a young princess named Merida must use her wit and bravery to break a terrible curse that threatens her family and kingdom. So click this video and I'll see you there.